I think about him every day, not just sometimes. He had drug problems when he was in his 20s. I put him in rehab so many times, and every time he'd be doing great, but then it would all go downhill. There are 100 things on your mind. Losing a child was the worst thing that could have happened. Rick Harrison has been a familiar face to reality TV fans for a long time. Since Pawn Stars started in 2009, he has charmed millions with his smart business sense and deep knowledge of history. People have learned about the Harrison family, but Rick's personal story is full of sad problems, from terrible family losses to personal and professional problems. This is all hidden behind the success of the famous gold and silver pawn shop in Las Vegas. His journey has not been easy. Let us tell you about Rick Harrison from Pawn Stars in real life. Rick may have a great life now, but not always. His childhood wasn't very good. Rick was born on March 22, 1965 in Lexington, North Carolina. He was told he had epilepsy when he was 8 years old. His illness had a big effect on his childhood, making it hard for him to make friends and do well in school. Kids who had seizures were often woken up, which made them feel alone with other kids who didn't understand the problem. His illness made things hard for his family because they couldn't plan for it. He was often stuck in bed for long amounts of time, which made him love reading even more. This event sparked his ongoing interest in learning and history, which later became a major theme in Pawn Stars as he told interesting stories about the things people brought into his shop. Although his situation got better as he got older, he still thinks about how much it changed him as a person. Rick has used his story and talks to break down misconceptions and lower stigma about epilepsy in order to make more people aware of it. He is a good example of how people with epilepsy can live happy lives with the right help and care. His public talks about the disorder have helped make it more well known, highlighting the need for more understanding and better tools for those who are impacted. Rick went through a terrible loss early in life when his sister Sherry died because she was too old. He didn't fully understand how much his family had lost. Sherry Harrison was born in 1960. She is the first child of Richard and Joanne Harrison. Back then, doctors didn't know nearly as much about how to treat fetal heart flaws and other health problems linked to Down syndrome as they do now. From the time she was born, her condition caused her a lot of health problems, and her weak health made her very likely to have problems that could kill her. Richard re-enlisted in the Navy to get Sherry medical coverage so that she could get the best care. This was done to make sure she got the best care and treatments possible. Rick was born in 1963, almost 4 years after Sherry. His sister had already died by the time he was old enough to remember things. Sherry died when she was 6 years old, in 1967. Our family was very sad about her death. Rick hasn't said much about his sister, but it was clear that her death hurt him. The fact that he never got to connect with Sherry is something he has thought about all his life. Even though Rick was too young to remember her, he could feel his parents' sadness. As he got older, he realized how much his father Richard had been hurt by the death of Sherry. Richard had often talked about her with a lot of love and sadness. Rick often didn't talk about Sherry's death with other people. The terrible loss of his sister changed the way his family interacted. It hurt him deeply and stayed with him throughout his childhood. When Rick was a teen, his family moved to California's San Diego. He wasn't close to his father before that. Rick has always been honest about the fact that his father raised him in a strict way. Rick grew up with a Navy warrior as a parent, so discipline was very important. His father would not stand for disrespect or disobeying orders. Like many teens, Rick pushed the limits with his folks when he was a kid. There was one time when Rick talked back to his dad using bad language, which was clearly unacceptable to the older man. Because of this, the older Harrison, who is known for being strict, hit Rick. The argument may have seemed harsh by today's standards, but Rick said that it was just how his dad raised him in the old-fashioned way. The old man thought it was important to teach respect and responsibility, even if it meant being strict. Afterward, Rick admitted that the punch was frightening, but it also woke him up and taught him an important lesson about respect, especially in the family. The Harrison family moved to Las Vegas, Nevada in the early 1980s in search of better opportunities. In 1988, Rick and his father opened the gold and silver pawn shop together. At first, Rick's business wasn't very big, but his good taste in nice things and friendly personality helped it grow gradually. After many years, the shop became the center of Pawn Stars, which made Rick and his family famous all over the world. Every business has bad days. In 2012, Rick also went through that. He got into a court conflict at that time which made people look down on his business. Daniel Callahan, a Vietnam veteran, filed a case over the event. He said he was hurt when he was taken from the pawn shop against his will. Daniel said that the fight started when he tried to sell a gun in the store. He claimed that he got into a heated fight with shop employees and was then choked by Rick and his father before being kicked out of the store. In response, Daniel said that the Harrisons hurt him physically and caused him worry during the episode. There was also a $20,000 claim. Corey Harrison, Rick's son, denied these claims though. Corey said in an interview that neither Rick nor his grandfather were there when the fight happened. Instead, Corey said that the staff had to step in because Daniel suddenly lost it while carrying a gun, which could have put everyone in the shop in danger. Corey said Daniel was yelling for the owner while there were about 4,000 people in the shop. In order to calm things down, Corey said that the staff's choice to fire Daniel was the right thing to do because it was for everyone's safety. The case made the pawn shop look bad in the news. It's not clear if the case was finally solved or thrown out, but Rick didn't say anything about it himself, leaving his son to talk about it in public. Richard was more to Rick than just a dad and business partner. He helped him and was a rock in his life. Richard's sharp wit, strict discipline, and straightforward approach to business and life helped shape Rick's personality and the gold and silver pawn shop's success. They were close not only because they were related but also because they had worked together for years. In 2018, Rick's father died after having problems with his Parkinson's disease. This was one of the saddest times in his life. Even though Richard's illness had been getting worse over time, his death still felt sudden and terrible. Now that your father has died, I think people want to know more about your family. Your father was a great man. I had epilepsy as a child, but my dad never treated me differently because of it. When I was 12, it was 5:30 a.m. on a Saturday, and I had to get out of bed and get my nail polish because my dad wouldn't buy apartments unless every door had a foreclosed sticker on it. Rick had to deal with both the grief of losing his father and the duty of carrying on his legacy. Friends and co-workers both felt the void that Richard left behind. Pawn Stars fans were saddened along with Rick because the show's main draw had been the lively father-son bond. Rick had to take on a bigger role as the boss of both the family and the business when his father wasn't around. He talks about the things Richard taught him a lot, trying to honor his memory while dealing with the grief of such a terrible loss. Rick was in a painful court fight with his mother, Joanne Harrison, just a few years after his father died. Joanne sued Rick, saying that he had kept her out of several family businesses and trusts such as the Main Pawn Shop, G&S Pawn Shop, Harrison Properties, and Joe Rich. She said Rick had cut the monthly payments she was getting from him, which had been $25,000 a month until early 2020 and then dropped to $20,000 before stopping altogether in March 2020. Joanne also said that Rick had taken things that were rightfully hers, like a safe with cash and silver, and that he hadn't given her any proof of how the shop's money was being spent. She also said that Rick had stopped her from getting to the family trust, which had about $500,000 in silver and at least $100,000 in cash before her husband died. In answer to the case, Rick said he thought his mother was being used by other people for their own benefit. He said the accusations were false and that he was going to protect himself against them. The case got a lot of interest from the public because of how well known the family was and how serious the accusations were. Rick Harrison may be famous because of how well Pawn Stars did, but he is still a businessman at heart, and the fame that his rise to world fame brought him sometimes makes him feel bad. Along with new chances came big problems. Running a business in public made him a target for criticism and debate. One of the biggest problems Rick has to deal with is criticism about how the pawn shop works. Some people who used to shop at Pawn Stars or watch the show have said that some deals were unfair or that things were discounted to make more money. Even though most of the accusations are baseless and lack any real proof, they have made Rick's public image a fight that he has had to carefully manage. People often have different ideas about what is fair when running a business that deals with bargaining, negotiating, and valuing rare things, and Rick has admitted that it is hard to please everyone. A lot of people are also interested in Rick's political ideas. His backing for conservative issues in public has made his fans split down the middle. Some people like how vocal he is, but others don't like how he mixes politics with fun. He has never said sorry for what he believes, but he knows that talking about politics can turn off some people. Finally, Rick's life has been changed by the constant nature of fame. The steady presence of cameras and the public's interest in his personal life have invaded his privacy, making it hard for him to balance his working and personal selves. Michael Harrison, Rick's son, died in January 2024, which was a terrible loss. It was an overdose that killed Adam, who was 39 years old, on January 19th. The stated cause of death was the dangerous mix of drugs in his body. Rick was already having problems in his personal life and with the law, but losing his son was the worst thing that could have happened to him. Rick wrote a sweet Instagram post about how sad he was. In order to deal with his sadness, Rick became a strong supporter of drug education and avoidance. He has worked hard to bring attention to the risks of toxic chemicals and the pressing need for better tools to fight these issues using his position. Rick's work as an advocate is both a respect to his son's memory and a goal to keep other families from going through the same heartbreak. Rick has found power in this work, which has turned a personal loss into a call for change in society. Even though Rick had a lot of success at work, things have been rough in his love life. Even though she's been married 3 times, each one ended in the same way. He got married to Kimberly Harrison for the first time and had 2 kids with her, Corey and Adam. They got married in the late 1980s, but after 10 years of marriage, they split up in 2011. The exact reason they broke up has never been made public, but like many marriages, it was probably a mix of emotional. Rick was very busy building up his pawn shop business and his media profile with Pawn Stars. Kimberly may have felt ignored or stressed by his busy schedule. The pair got divorced without any problems, and Rick kept in touch with his kids after the split. Rick stayed involved in the lives of his kids after his first split, especially Corey, who would go on to work with him on Pawn Stars. Rick married Tracy Harrison for the second time in 2013. They seemed to have a good start to their relationship, but after only a few years they got a divorce. The specifics of their breakup are mostly kept secret, but Rick's busy work routine seemed to play a role, just like in his first marriage. Tracy Harrison stayed out of the public eye after the split, and the details of their breakup were never fully told to the media. But Rick has said many times that the pain of his second divorce made him think again about his life and relationships. Even though his second divorce left him emotional, Rick married Deanna for the 3rd time in 2013, and they became husband and wife. Things looked good between them at first. In fact, People magazine released only pictures of their wedding. Sadly, they got divorced after that. While not as much information about their breakup has been made public as about his other marriages, rumors say that they had some problems together. The split between Rick and Deanna was completed in 2020. Since they didn't have any kids together, their divorce may not have been as hard on him emotionally as his other divorces. But even so, it was still a hard time for Rick. I started buying and selling things as a bit of a job and basically learned on the job. I've always bought and sold things. My dad ran a small coin shop. I wished for a pawn shop. When I went to City Hall, they said no. Las Vegas doesn't have any pawn shops. In Sin City, I asked them why too. The city code was taken out. One more loan license would be given out. Rick's 2 weddings and divorces are likely things that have helped him grow as a person, both in his private life and in public. Rick has decided to focus on his health and start a new stage in his life after going through a lot of personal and work problems. Recently, the famous Pawn star shared pictures of his happiness with his new partner, Las Vegas-based nurse Angie Pushkin. A few months ago, Rick and Angie met. Their friendship quickly turned into a loving relationship. To celebrate Angie's birthday, the couple recently took a trip to Europe. They captured happy moments in Paris, like drinking drinks in front of the Eiffel Tower and lighting birthday candles together. Their adventures have taken them outside of Europe. Some of the best parts are the helicopter ride to the Grand Canyon, the Adele show, and the sightseeing in London. Rick has shown a lot of strength by continuing to run the gold and silver pawn shop and keep entertaining fans on Pawn Stars even though he has lost loved ones. Rick is still working as hard as ever in the pawn business. Soon the 23rd season of Pawn Stars will show. It will have cool things like a limited edition Nike raft and a Brickland SV1. During a hard time, Rick's new friendship with Angie has brought him times of happiness and light. Their shared experiences show a possible way forward as Rick juggles his work obligations with a renewed focus on his own happiness. I hope this helps.